Hello and namaskar viewers, I am Sanjeev Pandya welcoming you to this week's episode of the Tax Talk with AJ. The show is brought to you by Sai CPS Services, a full-fledged professional accounting firm. Multiple locations in the state of New Jersey can assist you with your personal taxes, business taxes, or any taxes related matter. They can also help you with your business if you need virtual CEO, virtual CFO, or even someone to do bookkeeping or payroll services. Sai CPS Service, they offer complete package under one roof. They are knowledgeable and experienced CPAs as well as knowledgeable staff members on hand. They will help you, assist you on a Zoom call, Facebook, or even in a person. All you need to do is give them a call at 908 888-8900. That's a 908-888-8900. Visit saicpsservices.com. With that note, I'd like to welcome Mr. AJ Kumar of Sai CPS Services. He's a CPA, CVA, and MBA, having 3 degrees. Of course, bringing a lot of knowledge and experience when it comes to accounting and business. AJ, welcome to the show. Good to have you.
Thank you, Sanjeev, and thank you for the kind introduction.
Absolutely. You're most welcome. And of course, everyone else at Sai CPS Services for doing such a fine job. Right now, we are in holiday season, folks, and you must be wondering, what's a tax talk? Of course, this is the show. That's a weekly show, brings you all the latest that you need to know when it comes to taxes. But in the holiday season, also very important, want to let you know that you be prepared for 2026, which is just around the corner. Start putting your receipts together and everything else. And for, one good reason is that you still have time to put away money somewhere in one of those plans where you can reduce your tax liability. That is the very, very important point. You have to do it by December 30th. It's the 31st, but we always say do it by December 30th so you can reduce your tax liability. And Mr. AJ personally can guide you where to put your money. He really needs to obviously understand your taxes. So once again, give Sai CPS Services a call, 908-888-8900. AJ, I know I must be busy because of holidays and wrapping up the year 2025.
Yeah, absolutely, Sanjeev, and very wise advice. If you have a small business, please find those receipts. Each dollar means 30 cents of saving for a lot of people. If you have some money that you can afford to put in a qualified retirement plan, please do so before the year end so you can make a substantial difference to your tax liability. Today we'll talk about home office expenses. Every small business owner that we work with, they have the same question. What can be deducted from their home office? Everybody works from home. If you have a job, if you have a small business, if you are a contractor, if you are a freelancer, everybody is expected to be working from home, unfortunately, now in these days. So what expenses you can deduct? Before I give you the details about the home office expenses, I want to remind our viewers that there are a lot of small videos, that we shoot here. We put them on the website. There is a Sai CPA Services YouTube channel. There is an ITV Gold YouTube channel. Please go there, check it out. All these videos on home office expense, retirement, qualified plans, the one big beautiful bill, what's changed for individual, what's changed for businesses. A lot of videos are there. So please find some time, take a look at it, and see what you can do before the year end to make a difference to your tax liability.
Okay, very good. So home office deduction, that's what we're going to talk about. Work from home concept just became very popular recently, a few years ago. But home office obviously has always been there, that you have a home and within a home you have an office. Now, how much can be deducted as a part of the office expense because you are having an office in the home? And what are the rules to follow and what you can do, what you cannot do? That's what we're going to discuss in this episode. So AJ, who can claim, question number 1, who can claim home office deduction?
Absolutely. So if you have a small business, almost everyone, a freelancer, a contractor, a subcontractor, a small business owner, the real question is who cannot claim the home office expense. If you have a W-2 job, you're out of luck. You're not allowed the home office expenses on a W-2 related job. That's why a lot of people will have their separate LLC, separate management company, separate consulting company to avail some of these home office expenses. So who cannot claim home office expenses is a W-2 business employee. Everybody else, freelancer, subcontractor, consultant, small business owner, large business owner, they're all allowed legally to claim home office expenses.
All right. So now, it's good to know that who can claim and who cannot claim. Now let's look into it. What can you claim? I mean, it's not like you can just take it for a ride and then claim everything related to your entire home expenses. It doesn't work that way. It also goes by the square footage, right? That, how many square footage that you use as an office in your home?
Well, it depends how you look at it. So IRS at a high level allows you two methods. You can count the actual expense, or you can take a simplified method. When you talk about the square footage or a standard rate, we are generally referring to simplified method, where the IRS says you count the square footage of the space that you are using exclusively and regularly, meaning you cannot be using the same space for other purposes also. You cannot have a table in your bedroom and say, this is my home office, I use it for the home office. That space has to be exclusively used for business only. That space has to be used regularly. It can't be on the weekends I work over there. It has to be used regularly as a principal place of the business. So if at a high level, in order to qualify the home office expense as a deductible expense, there are three conditions that have to be met. The place has to be used exclusively, just for the business only. The place has to be used regularly, not just on the weekend or once a month or when I need to. It has to be regular use. And it has to be principal place of business. Not that you cannot have another office. You can have multiple locations, but you have to be able to see the clients over there. It's not your back office, not that you work on the night only. It has to be seen, publicized on your website, on your business card as a principal place for your business. So home office expenses qualify as long as they are exclusive, regular, and principal place of business. What you can claim as a home office expense depends on your type of business. Anything that's meant for business only, let's say if you had to buy a table, that's exclusively for the home office. In that case, the 100% of the expense is claimed as a business expense. So there are expenses that are direct expense. Direct expense is defined as you wouldn't have had this expense if you did not have the home office. Meaning if you had to buy another laptop, another monitor, another desktop, some stationery, some computer desk, all those expenses you wouldn't have had if you did not have a home office. Those expenses are referred as direct expense, Sanjeevji.
All right, so those expenses referred as direct expenses, that's the one thing. But when you have an office in your home, and like you said, that has to be your principal office address and everything else. Besides furniture, what about phone line or internet services and electricity? And how does the real estate taxes would work? Because, real estate taxes are paid based upon a property address. So how much can it be deducted when it comes to home office tax return?
Absolutely. So take a step back. You see how much is your total house worth. Let's say your total house is 3,000 square feet, and your home office, you have one room that's exclusively, regularly used as a principal place of business, and that room size is
12 by 10. 12 by 10.
12 by 10. So 120 square feet.
Correct.
So you see, out of
3,000.
4% is used as exclusively, regularly as a home office. So 4% of your utility bill, 4% of your rent, or 4% of your mortgage, 4% of your other indirect miscellaneous expenses can be claimed as home office expenses. Again, direct expenses are claimed 100%. We are talking about indirect expense, and you will find yourself in a situation many times that is too cumbersome to calculate and track all these expenses. How much is the utility? How much is the property tax? How much is the mortgage interest, not the principal? So in that case, IRS allows you a simplified method where the IRS says you can claim $5 per square foot up to a maximum of 300 square foot. So maximum $1,500 per year in indirect home office expenses, as long as you qualify to have the home office deduction. Again, first principle, it has to be exclusively, regularly, and principal place of business. Once you qualify, It can't be used for W-2. You have to have a small business, consulting income, 1099 income, or subcontractor. Once you qualify the basic criteria, then you see, is this expense a direct expense or an indirect expense? If it's a direct expense, then it's 100% allowed. In indirect expense, you choose, do you want to use simplified method, which is $1,500 up to maximum $5 per square feet. You look at the room size. In our example, it's 120 square feet. In that case, $600. 120 multiplied by 5, $600 is your miscellaneous expense, indirect expense in this example. And you don't have to maintain the receipts around it. You don't have to maintain the property tax, mortgage interest, no calculation needed. Just show us the receipt, just that this room is used exclusively, and this is the room size, and we are good with it.
Okay, very well. So now we touch base upon direct expenses, indirect expenses, and the regular method put in by IRS for the home office deductions. It doesn't end here because there is more to come, and that's all coming up right after this messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to the second half of the Tax Talk with AJ. This is the weekly show, brings you all the things that you really need to know about taxes, your personal taxes, corporate taxes, and taxes related matters, because you need to be informed. There are always changes. There is always something to know about taxes. So this is the show that brings you that you really need to know about taxes. The show is brought to you by Science CPS Services, and that is the complete tax accounting firm in the state of New Jersey. But wherever you are, in the USA, they can assist you. 908-888-8900 or visit sciencecpsservices.com. As I mentioned to you before the break, this is the time that you really need to look into your income and then assets and how much liquid assets you have and everything else. It's better to put it away in a retirement plan, as AJ explained earlier, so that way you can reduce your taxes liability. It's not that you're going to get away with the taxes, because Science CPS Services believes in doing taxes right. And that also includes getting all the deductions that you're entitled to. So that's what Science CPS Services is all about. Now, moving on to the show. This week, the topic is home office deduction. And before the break, AJ really gave us enough information about what should be deducted and what should not be deducted. AJ, the question that I have now, obviously you answer the question that if it's a certain number of square foot they use out of total square foot of the house and so on and so forth. But when you have a home office, obviously your property must be maintained very well. And I'm talking about, let's say, landscaping and the snow removal services and gardening and everything. So those expenses also would have to be set up as per the total square feet versus the square feet used by office?
That's the max, that's the extent of it. So snow removing expenses is a fair expense, because a lot of times you don't have to have the snow cleaned that clearly, or you can delay it. But if you are using your home office regularly, exclusively, and you see the client over there, then you have an obligation to clean the snow. You have to maintain the property in a certain way. In that case, you have the right to claim certain percentage of those expenses, depending on how much of the office space you are using exclusively, regularly, and a principal place of your business.
Okay, as you explained, I see there are a lot of gray areas, right? Because you calculate certain
absolutely,
percentage.
100%.
So my question to you is that let's talk about what are the things that the homeowners, and then if they have office, they cannot do, they should not do, because that would send a red flag to IRS.
Absolutely. I'm glad we are going there. So let's say telephone expense. You have a phone, you had a phone before you started the business, you have a phone, and your claim is that you use this phone mostly for the business purpose only. Even then, mostly does not mean 100%. So claiming 100% of certain expenses like phone, home internet, or certain expenses, anything that's sort of car expense, it can't be 100%. Even if this car is used for business only or mostly for business, even in that case, you have part of the personal expenses over there. So try avoiding 100% uses of anything from that perspective, phone, internet. When it comes to home office expenses, as you can see, there are a lot of gray areas. Home office expenses are one of the most commonly audited schedule. Schedule C, typically they go on if you don't have a formally incorporated business. In Schedule C, you will see, and it's all over the internet, Schedule C is the most audited schedule when it comes to any other schedule for IRS. The problem is, if IRS doesn't like a particular number on your tax return, they can't audit that section only. They have to audit the whole tax return. In that case, they will generally find something more than what you bargained for, what they were looking for. A lot of audits start somewhere else, start with a different problem, and end up being at a different issue. So just be careful. Ask yourself, by claiming additional $100 of expenses, by going in the gray area, how much tax you are actually saving. And then ask yourself, is it worth it? If you get audited, a typical audit can take months before it finishes. It's stressful. A CPA and tax attorney will charge you a lot of money. So try avoid going to the gray area. Try to keep it clean, please. And it doesn't matter how clean you keep it. It doesn't matter how real the expense is. Unless you have the receipt, the proof around it, you cannot justify it. So make sure you keep proper receipts. You have a separate bank account. There's no commingling of fund. You are paying the expenses separately. So try keeping it as clean as practically possible. Put yourself in the auditor's shoes. Ask yourself, if you are the one auditing these books, are you okay with it? And then make sure you remain suspicious around it. You remain cautious around it when it comes to the home office expenses.
Okay, very interesting. Now, before the break, when you explained the regular method and simplified method by IRS for home office deductions, is it like, the owner, or the rather taxpayer, has to stick with one method only, or they can change it if a situation changes with their business?
Well, for 1 year, you can only use one method.
Okay.
But just because you used one particular method in 1 year does not necessarily mean you have to continue using the same method every year. The confusion comes from these flow-through entities and the incorporated business, where if you use the cash-based business, you have to continue using cash-based. If you use accrual, you have to continue using accrual. But in this case, you don't have to be limiting yourself to simplified method or the regular method or the calculated method. You have the right to choose whichever method makes most sense every year. But for 1 year, you can only use one method.
Okay, so now, someone's got the office in their home and they're running a business. Would it make any difference with this regular method or simplified method whether business is making a profit or business is running in a loss?
It does not matter. So there is no such thing that you cannot have home office deduction if you are not making profit. You can be losing money and still be having home office expenses. The thing you have to remember, if you continuously showing losses year after year, IRS claims that this is really not a business. This is a hobby, and hobby losses are not tax deductible. Say if you are trying to do woodwork, I'm an accountant and I say, I will do woodwork, and I buy a lot of machinery, a lot of wood, and I lose money because nobody is buying my woodwork. It happens 1 year, it happens second year, it happens third year. IRS says this is not business. If it was a true business, you would be publicizing, you would have a website, you have a business card, you would be trying to make money. And if it's really a business, why don't you stop it? Start something else. You're losing money here. So there are situations when IRS push back, saying that this is not a real business, it's a hobby, and if it's proved that it's a hobby, in those cases, hobby losses are not tax deductible. Remember, hobby income is still taxable income. It's just the losses are not tax deductible. From that perspective, as long as you can justify this is a legitimate business, it has a website, it has business card, I'm trying to promote the business, there is no limit on making profit or having revenue in order to claim the losses.
Okay, very interesting. All right, so now when it comes to home office, what would you suggest if someone is starting out a business, should they have office in the home, or is it home office is ideal for one person or two people or three people? What do you suggest? What's your take on that?
It depends on business to business. The way I see it, while you are starting a business, start from home. Keep the expenses lowest possible. Keep the expenses minimal. When you come to a point that now you are targeting clients who you don't feel comfortable in inviting at your home, or your business can sustain a particular office space. In those cases, you sort of grow up to a proper office space, but I don't see any issue, I don't see any problem in starting a business from home and growing it slowly.
Because, I just want to share a story with you that someone I know years ago used to have office in their home, and the way it was set up, it was very beautifully, nicely set up that you enter and then there was an office on one side of the house and on the left-hand side of the house, and then there was another room where 8-9 employees were sitting and they had their own computers and everything. They were all working. And it was just going on for a couple of years, and that was the home as well as the office. But the office area was made very well separately than a house. Of course, the entrance was one, but it was nicely done. And 7-8 employees in the other room. The room was large enough. Would it be okay to have that kind of home office?
Absolutely. It depends on your type of business. I mean, think about it. If you have a consulting business, if you have something that you are selling over the phone, over the internet, over the email, then it's okay to have that type of situation. You cannot be running a grocery store from your home,
Oh,
at least
absolutely,
in the long run. So it also depends on the type of business. But you said it very well. The key here is to keep it separate. Don't commingle it. You don't want to have a table in your bedroom. If it's home office, keep it completely separate, exclusive, where you are seeing the client, where you have people sitting over there or you are working over there, and it's seen as a separate space, exclusively.
Okay. Very well. Well, so there you have it, home office deduction. That was the topic of the day. In case if you need more information or if you are confused and want to know more about this home office deduction or any tax deduction anywhere, remember, when it comes to taxes, no question is a silly question and no question is a small question. Do not hesitate to give Science CPS Services a call. 908-888-8900 is their phone number. ScienceCPSServices.com is the website. Once you visit the website, you will know, because website is very well informative website. You will know what Science CPS Services do. And if you have a small business and if you're not very happy to have office in the home and whatever your business is, Science CPS Services can have virtual CEO, CFO positions for your business, and that they can look after payroll and bookkeeping services, so that way you can focus on your business. And that's why Science CPA Services has a high reputation among all the CPAs in the state of New Jersey, and they are ready to assist you. Once again, give them a call at 908-888-8900 or sciencecpsservices.com. AJ, thank you so very much for your time.
Absolutely, Sanjeevji.
With that
Thank
note, I got to go back to my home office and start working in my office. So with that note, we come to an end of the show. Until we meet again, same place, same time, we wish you happy holidays to you and your family from us. And we'll definitely see you next week, same place, same time. I'm Sanjeev. Take care. So long.
Happy holidays.